If you look at ACMA, which is the apex body for the component industry, we recently did a study looking at the next 10 years. It's called Vision 2020. In that, we did a benchmarking in terms of competitiveness with most of the other emerging economies, and we found that barring some areas which are related to inadequacy of infrastructure and certain areas related to taxation and commercials, we found ourselves quite competitive. But that said, I would say the challenge for us is really the last 2 years have seen significant inflation, and the inflation has been significantly more than what it has been in the rest of the world. So we are quite concerned because we see our competitive advantage dwindling away over the last couple of years with the high inflation that we've seen in the country. The Indian domestic industry has been, barring the recent period, which I see more as a blip, has been driven by some macroeconomic factors which I think will continue to drive the industry. We see the automotive industry growing at 14% over the next 5 years. And so the domestic industry will be strong. The concern would be related to export markets, where currently 20% of the component industry product is exported out of India. And there I would say that the recent developments in US and Europe with their debt and financial situation is a cause for concern. I would not say that it is an immediate or already existing cause for concern, but I think going forward, say towards the end of the year, I do see this impacting our exports. I would say in terms of technical capabilities, we still have a long way to go. We have covered a lot of area over the last 5 to 7 years. The Indian component industry started off as more of a build-to-print type of industry, and we've really gone into engineering, testing, validation, and product engineering capabilities really over the last 5 to 10 years as an industry as a whole. I would still say that in terms of being able to match up with expectations and specs of multinational manufacturers, we are able to do that, but we are still not at the stage where we are bringing about new designs first time in the world. There are a few instances which you can count at the tip of your fingertips in terms of such incidences, but by and large, if you look at it, we still are more in terms of product engineering related industry as opposed to an R&D related industry. I think it's extremely important. This is the first time that APAC 16 is being held in India. SAEINDIA needs to be complimented on bringing APAC 16 to India. And the reason for this is that for the first time you will have not only Indian leading engineers present, but you will also have papers presented by internationally renowned experts. And for young engineers, this gives them an opportunity to interact with some of these people, interact with people in their peer group. It is really a period during which they should look at seeking the most knowledge that they can. And as an automotive industry, we look at attracting engineers towards our industry, and I think that this creates a platform in which we can definitely do that. Again, as I said, from the automotive industry's perspective, we want to find ways of attracting engineers into our industry. But what is unique about this conference is that we're really looking at sustainable technologies compared to the past. I think right now we are looking at more of efficiency and energy conserving technologies, finding ways of doing things in a safer manner, in a smarter manner, and really that's been the focus. The other thing that we have done is we also have not only the automotive industry, but we also have, for example, the off-road and other such allied industries which are here. So I think that when you look at it from a larger perspective, you actually get ideas sometimes from allied areas which engineers can then look at applying in their areas. The idea creation that people can get from coming from this conference is going to be significant. I would say the primary imperative for the industry is in terms of conservation of energy. I would say by and large, if you look at our world, we have a very large carbon footprint, we are very fuel dependent, and I think any way in which you can actually find a way of reducing the amount of fuel, improve the fuel efficiency, find more sustainable methods of providing energy to vehicles, find ways of reducing the amount of energy consumption in component systems in a vehicle, then you actually are contributing to the planet in terms of reducing the carbon footprint of the automotive industry. I think if you look at India and Indian roads, I forget the number of accidents, but we have amongst the largest number of accidents which take place on Indian roads. At the same time, if you look at safety related technologies for the automotive industry, we are still at a relatively nascent stage compared to the West. There are a lot of technologies which will come in over the next 5 to 7 years. And the challenge actually for Indian industry is to find a way of making these technologies affordable. These technologies are available in the rest of the world, but to find a way of making it affordable where you have a unique value proposition for the Indian customer, that is going to be the challenge. Frankly speaking, I think that the best way of doing it is to actually improve public transportation in a significant manner. The Indian government is trying to do it with the metro rail in some of the cities, bus transport, but the overall infrastructure was not designed for the type of population that we currently have in urban areas. And I think there's a need for relook of that. Beyond that, I think that once the infrastructure is there, then the amount of energy consumption in personal mobility can come down significantly. And at the same time, as this conference itself indicates, we are looking at ways of making mobility more sustainable through energy conservation. So a combination of public and private, I think, is required to resolve energy crisis that we have currently.